Are you ready?
Yes, Chair.
Are you ready, Colonel Naidu?
Yes, Chair.
Okay. We probably will stop at 3 o'clock, but I'll decide as we go along. Let's continue.
Thank you, Chair. Colonel Naidu, before the lunch adjournment, you were talking about the tickets that you purchased from Flight Centre for General Mdluli and his wife.
That's correct.
You say in your statement you were concerned about this advance in your name. Could you just explain that?
Chair, this transaction made me uncomfortable in a sense. Not so much in my statement. I say it was. I knew it was not allowed. Although that was a concern, but the greater concern was actually the amount. It was quite a substantial amount, and it was on my name. And I feared that eventually I would be held responsible for that amount. So that was what made me feel uncomfortable. And in light of that, Chair, that same afternoon, I'm speaking of the 3rd of November, I wrote out a note of what had transpired during the course of the day regarding the air tickets and the loan. And I kept a copy of it at my house.
In other words, you created a record
That's
of
correct,
of how it had come about that this amount was taken out in your name.
Indeed.
Okay. Did you share it with anybody such as General Lazarus?
No, Chair.
It was just for yourself to remember
Yes, Chair.
what had happened that gave rise to it.
Correct.
Okay.
This was a handwritten copy that I had made available for myself just in case. I gave that handwritten document to my wife. She typed it at her work. And those two documents, together with copies of the air tickets, I kept at my home just for future reference if there was any queries regarding this incident.
Yes. Are they part of the bundle that is before me today?
Yes, they are, Chair.
They are. Okay. Ms. Wenzel says they are. Okay. Take it from there, Ms. Wenzel.
They appear at Annexure DGN 3 from pages 77 to 80, it looks like. The handwritten notes that you wrote, do those appear from page 79 to 80?
Yes, I confirm.
So the handwritten note that you talk about appears at pages 79 to 80 of the bundle. Is that right?
That's correct, Chair.
And I see that the copy might not be so legible, but part of it is legible to some extent. Is the position that, or does it not start earlier? I see page 79 starts with the word agreement,
Yes.
so that can't be
Yes.
the beginning of a sentence.
Yes, Chair, you are absolutely correct.
Is there a page missing or a few pages missing, Colonel Naidu?
Chair, from what I recall, it's one page, Chair.
There's one page missing.
No, this is the page. There is no page missing.
Yes, but I see it starts with, it looks like at 79, it starts from what would be the middle of a sentence. It says agreement was shown to me. So this sentence must have started, there must be another page from which it started, the sentence. At page 78, there is a time.
Chair, this is, I think it's
document.
just in reverse. 80 should come first.
Sorry?
It's just in reverse. 80 should be first before 79.
Yes, Ms. Spencer?
80 is actually the first page,
You should have
79
picked
is
that
the
up.
second page.
Yes, I should have, Chair.
You should have picked that up.
You are quite correct. should have been picked up. And as Chair, we've also had this typed again, because even the typed copy of his wife is, it's absolutely illegible. But
I think what you should do then is to, I think on all our bundles, Colonel Naidu, let's correct that mistake. What was page 80 should be page 79.
That's correct, Chair.
And what was page 79 should be page 80.
Indeed.
And Ms. Fensel arrange for new pages with red pagination to be provided to
Yes.
replace these.
I will do that, Sir, Chair. Chair, you will see that in the statement, Colonel Naidu, you say in paragraph 34 that these documents were subsequently handed over to Colonel Rulofse. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Chair, we will try and obtain the original documents from Colonel Rulofse so that better copies can be provided, and I'll make sure that they are put into the record and into your file.
Yes, that's fine, but this should have been done quite some time back.
Yes, it is correct, and I apologize. It
Colonel
should have
Naidu's
been done.
statement has been available for quite some time.
Yes, it has.
Yeah,
It is.
okay, continue.
Thank you. Now, Colonel Naidu, did you thereafter meet General Mdluli at the airport with regard to this trip? And if so, could you please explain the circumstances to the Chair?
Yes, I did meet General Mdluli. Chair, on the
Just
7th.
before you proceed, Colonel Naidu, Ms. Wenzel, can we also try and be faster than we are?
Yes,
Let's be faster.
yes.
Colonel Naidu is supposed to know these incidents, and let's try and be faster and make the best of the time available.
Colonel Naidu,
I think he was about to answer your question,
yes.
and I interrupted him. Colonel
Yes.
Naidu, please give your answer.
Chair, on the 7th of November, this was the day General Mdluli was due to fly to China. General Lazarus instructed me to take a further 10,000 rand advance in my name. I did so. He said this was money for General Mdluli, or intended for General Mdluli for his trip to China. I subsequently managed to obtain the 10,000 rand, Chair. On the same day, 7th November, I met General Mdluli at the airport, and I gave him 20,000 rand, sorry, pardon me. Chair, this 20,000 rand was the 10,000 rand advance that I had taken on my name. And if you remember correctly, Chair, as I testified to previously, there was 100,000 rand that I had for the air tickets. There
Yes.
was 13,000 rand, plus minus thereabouts, I can't recall exact figure, was left over from that transaction.
You said that 50,000 rand was a loan from Atlantis Motors, I think,
That's correct.
which was for the ticket, for Mrs. Mdluli's ticket.
That's correct.
And 50,000 rand was from the secret service account, which was for General Mdluli's ticket. Is that
Correct.
right?
Correct, Chair.
Did the ticket end up costing less than that?
Both tickets were 86,000 rand, thereabout. Plus
So there
minus.
was some money left.
Indeed, yes, Chair.
Okay, and that was about 24 rand or 14 rand.
It
Yeah,
was,
if it was 86, it was 14,000 rand.
it was 13,848 rand left over after paying for 2 tickets, Chair.
Well, if you had 100,000 rand and the 2 tickets cost 86,000 rand, the balance couldn't have been 30,000 rand.
13,000, Chair, 13.
Or 13.
13,000, yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you said 30. I'm sorry. Okay, yes.
The tickets were exactly, the amount was 86,152 rand, Chair.
Yes.
And the remaining balance that was left over from the 100,000 was 13,848.
Yes.
This is the 10,000 that I took from this amount of the 13,848, added to the 10,000 rand advance, which gave me 20,000 rand in total.
Okay.
This is the amount I handed over to General Mdluli for his trip.
At the airport.
I met him at the airport.
Was that at OR Tambo Airport?
Correct, Chair.
Yes.
This is when his wife was with him. This is when General Mdluli informed me that he's taking his wife to visit their daughter who is studying in China.
Did you know his wife prior to that?
I do,
Had
Chair.
you met her?
I met her because I had previously gone on several occasions to General Mdluli's private residence.
Yes. So General Mdluli told you that he was taking his wife to China for them to visit their daughter who was studying there.
That's correct, Chair.
Okay. And was there anything else that was discussed at the airport between the two of you?
No, Chair.
Yes. Did you ever ask why General Mdluli was not the one who would sign documents if he needed money for his own purposes, and why you had to sign?
Chair.
Why it had to be, the advance had to be in your name or somebody else's name, Kenneth
Chair,
Barnett, so on.
General Mdluli never took any advances on his name, Chair.
And did you ever know why that was so?
I can't say for sure.
But he never took any advances in his name.
No, Chair.
So there will be no documentation that reflects that he took advances from the Secret Service account, as far as you know.
That's correct, Chair.
Was it General Lazarus who initiated, as far as you know, that whenever General Mdluli needed money, that somebody else would take the money out of in his name?
That's correct, Chair.
Okay. Continue, Ms. Fenzel.
Colonel Naidu, how did you reconcile the advance of 50,000 rand taken to purchase General Mdluli's ticket?
Chair, initially, when I paid for the tickets were printed on one invoice, which was the total of the two tickets, which amounted to 86,000. 86,152. But the actual advance was only 50,000 on my name. I subsequently went back to Flight Center so that they could print me another invoice for just one ticket, because only had to reconcile one ticket, which was against the 50,000 rand. Remember, the other 50,000 was a loan, or supposedly a loan. So this is how I closed that, or reconciled that advance, by asking Flight Center to generate a new invoice, a fresh invoice, for one ticket.
And is that the document annexure DGN 5
I'm sorry, what page is that?
at page 91?
Yes, that's correct.
One second. Yes. Can I take you back to the document that you prepared, that you said you prepared, or statement or note that you prepared, to have a record of how it came about that you took out money in your name that you had to give to General Mdluli? That is the document starting at page 79. It might be difficult for someone else to read that document, but maybe because you are the author, you might be able to. Are you able to read it, or only parts of it?
I'll try, Chair, up to a point, because part of it is quite, it's not very clear, so I'll try.
Okay, no, that's fine. Maybe you don't need to read it now, but do you confirm that what you recorded on the note is along the lines that you have told me about in terms of how it came about that you took that money in your name?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay, so when we get a clearer copy, it should just reflect what you have told me.
Yes, Chair.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Chair. Colonel Naidu, could you please tell the Chair about the overseas trip to Singapore?
Chair, this trip was undertaken in 2009. I think it was the 20th of November 2009. It was about 2 weeks after General Mdluli returned from China.
One second. Ms. Fensel, just remind me from time to time on which page you are so that I keep a general check.
Certainly, Chair.
Where is that?
It's page 10 of the statement from paragraphs 41, Chair.
Yes, okay. Continue, Colonel Naidu.
Chair, this was about 2 weeks after General Mdluli returned from China. On the 20th of November, Colonel Barnard's wife, General Lazarus, his wife, Colonel Miranda Fenter, General Mdluli. Chair, my statement reads General Mdluli's wife, but at that stage it wasn't his wife. She was his girlfriend, if I can call it. And Warrant Officer Godfrey Mawai and myself traveled to Singapore. Chair, the reason given to me, this was according to General Lazarus, that crime intelligence went on this, or was to go on this trip to buy equipment, spy equipment for the unit.
To buy some equipment for the operations of crime intelligence.
That's correct, Chair.
Were you given any more particulars as to exactly what was to be bought, or not really?
No, Chair.
Okay. Were you told why there were so many of you who needed to go?
Chair, no, I wasn't given any reason, but I think I just need to point out one matter which is quite important. I myself was in General Lazarus' office prior to us flying to Singapore, and FM 09 was also present there. I inquired from him. Chair, I inquired on two fronts. One was, I asked him, why am I going on this trip?
Yes.
And the second front was, why am I flying on the Secret Service account? Because other members were flying on the open account. So it seemed strange to me that I was flying on the Secret Service account. So these are the two points that I brought to his attention. And he told me that was the instruction of General Mdluli, and I didn't take it further than that.
So, were you the only one who was being paid, whose traveling was being paid for from the Secret Service account?
Chair, there were two members from Crime Intelligence who traveled on the trip on the Secret Service account. It was myself and Colonel Miranda Fenter. The other civilian member who traveled on this account was General Mdluli's girlfriend, Teresa Lyons.
And your wife was also traveling on this Secret Service account?
Chair, it was not my wife. It was Colonel Barnard's wife.
Oh, I thought you said your wife also went along.
No.
Oh, okay. Yes, okay. Thank you. Please continue, Ms. Venzel.
Did you make air bookings for this trip, Colonel Naidu?
Yes, I did.
And could you just explain that?
I think it was in a week prior to us traveling. We traveled on the 20th of November, 2009. I made bookings at African Imprint Travel for T-Lines, Colonel Fenter, and myself. I also made bookings for Sandra Lazarus. This is General Lazarus's wife, and I think that of Unita Barnard, which is Colonel Barnard's wife. Chair, I do mention in my statement, point 44, I point out that T-Lines was General Mdluli's girlfriend at the time.
And
Just 1 second. I hope everybody at the back does hear. Everybody does hear. Okay, all right. So, so the bookings that you made, some were made under the Secret Service account, but others were made under the open account. Is that right?
That is correct, Chair.
The ones that were made under the Secret Service account were yours and who else's?
Chair, there's 2 parts to this. The bookings were initially made for, it was myself, Colonel Fenter, T-Lines, Unita Barnard, and Sandra Lazarus.
Yes.
But the actual payment from the Secret Service account, those were provisional bookings. The names are mentioned now, Chair. But the actual payment for those that traveled on this account from the Secret, or was paid from the Secret Service account was myself, Colonel Fenter, and T-Lines.
Yes.
I do not know how Unita Barnard and Sandra Lazarus' ticket was paid for.
Yes. I think you mentioned 2 travel agents that were used for this purpose. Is that correct?
1, Chair, it was African Imprint Travel.
Was that the normal travel agent that was that the travel agent that crime intelligence used to use when official trips were undertaken?
That's another company, Chair. That is Westfall Travel. This is African Imprint Travel.
Oh, but was this particular company, travel agency, did crime intelligence use it from time to time? Or as far as you know, this was the first time it was used?
As far as I know, this is the first time we used this particular company.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
is the invoice paid to African Imprint Travel, does that appear at Annexure DGN 6, page 94?
Ms. Wenzel, you are going to confuse her. Remember when we started on Friday, we said you won't mention, I think, the alphabets before the number. You just mentioned the number.
Yes.
I think you are
Yes.
confusing me as well.
Sorry, Chair.
Just mention the page.
Page 94, is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, when you went on this trip, who went business class and who went economy class?
Chair, General Mdluli, General Lazarus, and T-Lines flew business class. Colonel Barnard, myself, Colonel Fenter, Colonel Barnard's wife, and Warrant Officer Godfrey, my wife, flew economy class.
Now, when you were in Singapore, did you indeed go purchase equipment for crime intelligence?
Yes, Chair, we did purchase equipment over 2 days. If I can just give some insight into that. Chair, this, like I said, this was done over 2 days, but in the 2 days, I think it was most 2 hours that we spent at this particular shop, over 2 days. So it would be basically 4 hours in total. It's an electronics mall, Chair. It's not a covert shop where you have to make an appointment. It's like how you and I would go to a normal shop to purchase an item, except this was an electronics mall, only dealing with electronic stuff and nothing else. We got to the shop. I didn't pay too much of attention as to what was being purchased because this was not my area of expertise, Chair. But I do know that we were at this shop for over 2 days, 2 hours probably most at a time.
And then what did you do during the rest of the trip?
Chair, we were there from the 20th to the 29th. The rest of the time, except for over these 2 days, probably 2 hours a day, the rest of the time we spent shopping and sightseeing.
So all in all, about how many were you? About 6 or 8?
Chair, it was 8, I think, Chair.
About 8.
Yes.
And were you able to tell who in the whole group really may have been necessary for purposes of buying whatever equipment needed to be bought?
Chair, in my view, this trip was not necessary at all.
Yes.
I say that because if somebody got onto the internet, could have purchased this over the internet and paid for it via EFT and had it couriered to South Africa.
Yes.
That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is that a member from technical support unit from crime intelligence should have gone over to purchase this equipment.
Yes. But was the equipment actually purchased?
Yes, it was purchased, Chair.
Yes. But you said there was nothing covered about it, really.
That's correct, Chair.
Yeah. Okay.
And did you, Colonel Naidu, purchase anything on this trip?
Prior to me going on this trip, Chair, my sister asked if I could purchase a camera for her. If I can remember correctly, I informed General Lazarus that I wanted to buy this is while in Singapore, Chair. I informed General Lazarus that I wanted to buy a camera for my sister. He indicated to me that we should purchase it using SSA funds and we will sort it out when we get back home. I purchased the camera, Chair. The value was approximately 5,000 Rand, and on my return, I gave it to my sister. Both General Lazarus and Colonel Barnard approved the funding for this purchase.
Just repeat that last sentence, please. Both General
Lazarus and Colonel Barnard, they approved the funding for the purchase, meaning they were aware of me using the card to purchase this particular camera.
Yes, you said that General Lazarus said that you could use the secret service account funds and this would be sorted out when you came back. Was it sorted out?
Chair, no.
It was not sorted out.
As far as I know, this particular camera was captured on the system as belonging to crime intelligence.
Yes, but it was actually in the possession of your sister.
And that's correct, Chair.
And being used by her.
That's correct.
So would the records reflect that it was an asset belonging to crime intelligence?
That's what I'm given to understand, Chair, yes.
Yes, okay.
When you came through the airport, was the equipment declared?
Chair, General Lazarus and General Mdluli did not want customs to know what we were bringing back into the country. General Mdluli then made arrangements with his contracts at the airport, and I'm speaking about OR Tambo Airport, that we as a group bypass customs. So as a result of this arrangement, nothing was declared at customs.
Yes.
How was the equipment purchased?
Chair, Colonel Barnard's wife works at an ABSA branch in Pretoria. She made arrangements for two credit cards to be issued, one which Colonel Barnard signed for it himself, and the other one was on my name. These two credit cards were preloaded with 100,000 rand each. I assume that these funds would have been arranged by Colonel Barnard to give to his wife to be preloaded onto these two credit cards.
I'm sorry, Ms. Wenzel. After you came back from this trip, at the latest, after you had come back, I take it that you would have reflected and as to why you were taken along. Did you reflect on that and came to some conclusion?
Chair,
Because from what you say, you clearly were not needed for making any decisions relating to the purchase of the equipment, and you have said that the equipment actually could have been obtained without the trip. Did you try and reflect on why you were taken along?
No, Chair. Like I said in the beginning, I protested already to General Lazarus why I was going on this trip. So I didn't take it further than that.
What did you say when you protested, General Lazarus?
He said it was an instruction from General Mdluli and I must comply.
Assuming that that was true, did it occur to you that maybe you were being made to be part of the trip so that if there were any problems, you wouldn't tell?
That is a possibility, Chair.
Before this time, had you already yourself started engaging in any illegal transactions? You testified on Friday that you admitted to the Hawks that you had put through false claims running into about 100,000 rand. Had this happened by this time, or had it not happened yet?
This was before the time, Chair.
This was before this trip?
That's correct.
Oh, so you had already started?
Yes, correct.
Would it be fair to say by this time you were really part of whatever wrong was taking place at Crime Intelligence?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay, all right.
Colonel Naidu, in relation to the Chair's question, with regard to the reconciliation of the amount that was provided to you to purchase the tickets for General Mdluli and his wife, the 100,000 rand, you said after buying the air tickets you had 13,848 rand spare, of which
Yes.
you gave 10,000 to General Mdluli. Is that correct?
So we are going back to the previous trip, the China trip.
Yes, I'm just, so if you can have regard to page 9, paragraph 37.
Yes, I'm there.
So of the 13,848, you gave 10,000 of that remaining to General Mdluli. What happened to the balance of 3,848 rand?
Chair, this balance of 3,848 rand, which was in cash, I kept in my bag for several weeks. When no one inquired about it, I used it for my personal use.
Okay.
Colonel Naidu, if you have regard to the document at page 100, Annexure DGN 7, Annexure 7, these reflect transaction history. The one at page 100, where the cardholder is reflected as Hein Barnard, and the one at page 102, where the account is under your name, Naidu. Is that a fair reflection of the spending on those credit cards during the Singapore trip?
Chair, I don't remember all of the transactions, but yes, the transactions are on the card that I used. My name reflects on the top left corner, and the previous one of Colonel Barnard. So yes, I would confirm these documents.
Well, I think, Ms. Wenzel, you must draw to our attention which transactions fall within the days that he was in Singapore.
Do these transactions fall between the time that you were in Singapore?
Remember, what were the dates for your Singapore trip?
Chair, we left on the 20th of November 2009 and returned on the 29th of November that same year.
So was it about 10 days?
They're about
9 days, 10 days.
9 days, yes.
That was quite a long time. And you said that at the shop where you were supposed to buy the equipment, you spent about 4 hours all in all over 2 days, 2 days each day, 2 hours each day, is that right?
That's correct, Chair.
So for the rest of the time, you were just having a good time
That is correct, Chair.
at the state expense?
Yes, Chair.
Yes. So these transactions, well, Ms. Wenzel, you must confirm, do they fall within those dates when he was in Singapore? Or
Yes.
he could, if he can see, he can
Yes.
confirm himself?
Can you confirm that these transactions fall within the dates that you were in Singapore?
Chair, I just want to confirm the dates first. I'm not sure if it's the 20th.
Yeah, I think look at the dates, Ms. Wenzel,
Yeah, I think that would be
Ms.
better.
Wenzel, and tell her the first transaction on page, is it 102? Is that his one? His one started.
His is at 102.
Yes, tell him the date of the first transaction there and the date of the last transaction.
So the first transaction is the 27th of November 2009,
Yeah.
and the last is the, well, it's.
Are
I
the
think it's
dates
going
upside
through at
down?
a different date. You'll see it's the 18th of November 2009. So it starts on the 18th and then goes up to the 27th of November 2009.
Yeah, the document, the page seems to be starting with the last
Yes,
transaction and ending with the first transaction.
yes,
So it would mean that it reflects that the transactions covered by it start on the 18th of the 11th of 2009
yes.
and go up to the 27th of the 11th of 2009. But you said that you left for Singapore on the 20th, is that right?
That is correct, Chair.
The transactions before the 20th, would they have been connected with this trip or not?
Chair, that would probably be the preloaded, I spoke of the preloaded amount that was initially loaded onto this card before we left. Arrangements
Yes.
were made. So
Yes.
that falls outside of the time period that we were in Singapore. So this date will explain what I've testified to earlier, that money was preloaded onto each of this card. If you look at page 102, Chair,
Yes.
the actual amount in US dollars is 13,182.53.
The amount on the first day, on the 18th. Is that
That's correct, Chair.
At the
On
bottom.
18th. This is the preloaded amount I speak of.
Yes, but at the top there it says local currency, but at the bottom it reflects USD rather than rands. Is that? Can you see that? Or are we on different columns? You know the column written local currency.
Chair, that was the local currency of Singapore, and it also reflects the same amount in US dollars.
Oh, that was local currency of Singapore, not of South Africa.
SGD is the Singapore currency, Chair.
Oh, okay.
USD would be the US dollar.
Yes, yes.
So, Chair, if you look at the bottom, I'm referring to the last column,
Yes.
the 18th of the 11th,
Yes.
2009. It says Travel-X retail card was US dollars 13,182.53. This is the
amount.
preloaded amount that was loaded onto each of these cards.
Okay, that's 13,182 US dollars.
That is correct, Chair.
You might be able to, you might have a recollection of how, at that time, how much that was in rands, more or less.
Chair, if I can recollect, it would have been 100,000 because that's what I signed for on the card.
100,000.
That's correct, Chair.
Yes. When you came back from Singapore, how much of that 100,000 rand had been used?
I'm not sure, Chair. I can't recall.
Do you know whether there was anything left on the amount that had been loaded?
I cannot recall, Chair.
But are you able to say that while you might not recall whether you used the whole amount, you are able to say that you must have used more than 80% of the amount or more than 90% of the amount, or are you not able to say that?
I would say so, Chair, but I can confirm if the documents are shown to me.
Yes, okay, but your recollection is that you must have used more than 80% of the amount.
Yes, Chair.
Okay. I don't know whether, Ms. Wenzel, on these transactions, you have been able to make the total of what was used.
I haven't, but I will do it overnight for you, Chair, and I will tell you.
Okay, it's important just to give us the picture of how much was spent.
Yes, I will do that overnight, Chair.
Okay.
Colonel Naidu, can you tell the Chair what was your relationship with General Lazarus and General Mdluli?
Maybe before you do that, we have dealt, Ms. Wenzel, with page 102, which, as I understand the position, relates to Colonel Naidu,
Yes.
maybe, and somebody else, or just him alone. There is the other one that relates to other members of the delegation. Don't you want to deal with it?
Yes, we can deal with that. I was thinking that I would deal with it tomorrow when I've had a chance also, so that I can add this all up and
Maybe
deal
deal
with
with it insofar as you are able to, and all that might be left is just the figures.
quantum.
Yeah. Yes, before
Thank
we move
you.
on to something else.
Colonel Naidu, could you have a look at the document at page 100?
Okay, I'm there.
And at page 101, this also seems to be reflected backwards. So you will see that on the 19th of November 2009, there is an amount of US dollars 13,152.53. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And it's very close to the amount that was loaded onto the card under your name. Yours was 13,182.53.
It's probably because I see it's done on two separate days, so probably with exchange rate,
Yes.
it's a variation in the amounts.
And so with that,
Otherwise it was meant to be the same amount.
It was 100,000 each, Chair. So
Yeah.
that would probably account for the small variation because
Yes.
it was done over 2 days. One card on the 19th and the other one on the 18th.
Okay.
and then the transactions that are then reflected up until the 27th of November 2009, would those reflect transactions that took place during the trip to Singapore while you were overseas?
I just want to look at the dates quickly. Chair, I can confirm that all of these purchases were made while we were on this trip,
Yes.
in terms of the timeframes
Yes.
or the dates.
Okay, and do you have any recollection as to whether they too would have used no less than 80% of the amount, to say the least? Or is that something you didn't apply your mind to?
No, Chair, I'll have to.
You'll have to have a look.
I have to
Okay.
look at these documents.
Okay.
Over time.
Colonel Colonel Naidu, could you explain what your relationship was with General Mdluli and General Lazarus?
Chair, I worked very closely over a long period of time with General Lazarus. Like I testified to earlier, he was the one who had initially organized for me to be placed within crime intelligence. My relationship with General Mdluli started was purely because of my relationship with General Lazarus. So that's how I became acquainted or close to General Mdluli.
And could you tell the Chair what sort of functions you would perform for General Mdluli and General Lazarus?
Sorry, Ms. Wenzel, what page are we on?
Page 12 and paragraph 56.
Chair, when General Mdluli was appointed, which was in 2009, the 1st of July, if I'm correct, up to the point of me being placed in witness protection, which is the 21st of October 2011, I did minimal work in terms of my own job description, purely because there was no time for me to do what I was supposed to be doing. I say this because there was always something to do for General Lazarus or General Mdluli. I basically became their lackey. I was required at their beck and call at odd hours as well. This would include, Chair, making sure that safe houses, at that time General Mdluli made use of a safe house. This safe house had to be stocked with groceries, it had to be cleaned.
Safe house, you said?
That's correct,
Safe
Chair.
houses, okay.
That's correct.
By the way, safe houses were houses that were used by crime intelligence for meeting certain people, including informants, and also when they needed to do some work away from crime intelligence offices. Is that right?
That is correct, Chair. That would be for operational purposes.
Yes, okay.
So if you could just continue, Colonel Naidu, as to the sorts of things that you would do for General Mdluli and General Lazarus.
And maybe just start again on what exactly you were supposed to do with regard to safe houses.
Chair, General Mdluli at the time made use of a safe house. I had to make sure that the safe house was stocked with groceries whenever he was there. He also had a vehicle that was parked there that he used. I had to make sure that the vehicle was cleaned all the time whenever he used it. Also initially, for purchasing of flight tickets for him, this is for General Mdluli. So these things took up quite of my time, Chair. I was hardly at my office doing the job that I was supposed to be doing.
Buying groceries, did you get money from him to buy groceries for him in the safe house that he used?
No, Chair. This would be funds from the Secret Service account.
The funds would be from the Secret Service account.
That's correct, Chair.
Did you need to put those under your name as well, or not really?
I would have to take an advance on my name, Chair.
Yes. Okay. And are you able to indicate more or less what kind of money you would use for groceries at any particular time, if there was a kind of more or less common amount? Or was it, it's not easy to say?
Chair, I can't recall, but if the documents are shown to me, I can confirm.
Okay, all right.
Colonel Naidu, were you also required to do things for Mr. Morimoto?
Chair, on one occasion, I do recall, it was on a Saturday, Chair. Mr. Morimoto, by this stage, a relationship had been established between General Lazarus and Mr. Morimoto. I got a call, it was a Saturday morning, I think it was between 6 and 7, if I'm correct in my time. Mr. Morimoto said that he needs a toothbrush and toothpaste, and that I should buy these items and bring it to him. He was booked into the Holiday Inn. It was the one near OR Tambo International.
Was Mr. Morimoto part of crime intelligence?
Chair, at that stage, the relationship between himself and General Lazarus was in the process of being established, or it was already established by that stage. I'm just not sure of the time frame. But he was later signed on as a contact person at crime intelligence.
Okay.
Chair,
Yes.
This particular incident, it really made me stop to think for a moment. Is this what crime intelligence has come to? And I also question my own position on this. Is this what I joined the police for? It was really quite a low point for me at that stage. I was getting instruction from a convicted drug dealer to bring him a toothpaste and a toothbrush.
Did you know Mr. Morimoto to be a drug dealer?
Chair, like I mentioned earlier in the paragraph that I read, this is not fact. What I read out is conversations that I had with various colleagues of mine at crime intelligence regarding Mr. Morimoto and his relationship, his status and his relationship with General Bekitele.
Yes, but this was just an allegation, and you didn't know it to be a fact that he was a drug dealer.
That is correct, Chair, but I'm just expressing my thoughts at the time, Chair.
Yeah, okay. So this is what you were thinking, and you were reflecting on your position to say, is this what you came to do?
That is correct, Chair.
Yes, and then what happened?
Chair, I eventually went, I bought him the items, I gave it to him, and then I subsequently dropped him off at General Lazarus's house, and I left.
Okay.
Chair, you indicated you wanted to stop at 3. Is
Ye-
that still
ye-
the position?
Yes, maybe let's continue a little bit, and let me see. Let's continue, and let me see how. Maybe we'll end up at we'll stop at past. Let's just continue a bit.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Chair.
Okay.
Okay, Colonel Naidu, we are now going to deal with what you've referred to as the 250 posts. These were appointments and promotions made in crime intelligence. It's dealt with at your statement at page 13 from paragraph 58 onwards. Could you please give the Chair some background into this?
Chair, before we go to that, if I may, just reflect on two things that comes to mind
Yes.
regarding the Singapore trip.
Yes.
Chair, I remember having a conversation with General Lazarus where he told me that the Queen is heavy on the pocket. And what this simply means is Queen, referring to Lions, was heavy on the pocket. He told me that General Mdluli had told him that, or rather what I picked up from this conversation was she was actually becoming a nuisance. I say that because General Mdluli complained to General Lazarus that Teresa Lyons, his girlfriend at the time, was shopping excessively and she was putting financial burdens on him.
Yes.
He had then asked General Lazarus for more money because he had run out of funds. This happened on 2 occasions, Chair. This was in Singapore, and on our return from Singapore to South Africa, General Mdluli again asked General Lazarus for money because he had run out of funds.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, thank you.
Colonel Naidu, if you could now please deal with these 250 posts that became available at Crime Intelligence during January and February 2010.
Yes.
How did this come about? Please just go ahead and relate the story as you know it.
Chair, I'm not sure exactly how this came about, but I know that General Lazarus was driving this process. It was during the period 2010, early 2010, where 250 posts were made available for positions within crime intelligence. This is now commonly known as the 250 posts. These were all covert posts. Chair, most of these positions were utilized to provide employment for family and friends of General Mdluli.
As far as you know, were these posts officially created? In other words, if one went to the records of crime intelligence, would one find documents relating to their creation? Or is that something you don't know?
Chair, as far as I know, this was not done in as with the normal police system, the open account, where an advert would be placed in the newspaper saying that X amount of posts are available with each rank. As far as I know, it was a covert post placed in the newspaper, meaning that it didn't reflect that these were positions that needed to be filled within crime intelligence.
Okay, all right. Continue.
Could you tell the Chair, as you understand it, what would be the normal procedure to be followed when appointing an agent to crime intelligence?
Chair, normally to appoint an agent is generally a police official. An official, there must be, or there should be, an operation registered that would be addressing a specific crime area or syndicate. Generally, an agent is a police official or police member. That police member would be identified by the project manager or the person that is running that specific operation or project. Once this individual is identified and is suitable for that particular project, Chair, I think I'm going to, like you mentioned earlier, this is now.
Yes,
It's giving too much of detail.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip this point.
Yeah, skip whatever would give information that should not be given out publicly.
Yeah.
Yes. But maybe I could ask this. Is there a difference between an agent and an informant or informer?
Chair, like I mentioned, an agent is generally a police official. An informer is a private citizen recruited to gather intelligence.
Yes.
Informers are normally remunerated for their work.
As and when they do work.
That is correct.
They are not paid monthly.
Informers are paid monthly, Chair, but they also remunerated on successes as well.
So do they have a basic salary?
If you could say so, yes. They get a
Yes.
basic salary and they're remunerated in terms of their production.
So there's a
success.
performance bonus, as it were, or a success fee, as it were, if they have done something quite well on a particular project, then apart from their basic salary, they get paid something to top up.
That is correct, Chair.
Okay, all right. But the difference between them and an agent is that an agent is is a member of the SAPS, whereas they are not members of the SAPS, or they don't need to be members of SAPS.
That is correct, Chair. An agent is generally or normally a member of the police.
Yes, okay, all right.
Colonel Naidu, I'm now looking at page 14, paragraph 64 of your statement. Could you explain to the Chair how members of the Mdluli family came to be appointed to crime intelligence?
Chair,
Well, you might already have mentioned Mdluli family, but let's try and get him to just give evidence about who was appointed and so on, and if it happens to be Mdluli family, that's fine. Just speak more on this, Colonel Naidu, as to who got appointed, as far as you know, to these positions and so on and so on.
Chair, if I may, regarding the Mdluli family, how the appointment came about, if I just can get a few moments to explain.
Yes.
This was around January or February 2010, Chair. I was in General Lazarus' office when General Mdluli arrived. With normal protocol, I greeted him and excused myself, and he said I should wait. General Mdluli then produced a piece of paper, and he gave it to handed it over to General Lazarus, and he said that he wants all of those people on that list to be appointed. And I'm referring to this 250 post, the covert post.
Yes.
General Lazarus then asked General Mdluli how or what would be the best way that these individuals that was written on this piece of paper, how were they going to be appointed? Chair, I can't remember the exact conversation, but they both agreed that these individuals should be appointed into the agent program, or rather placed and appointed into the appointed first and then placed into the agent program.
Yes, when you are appointed as an agent, as opposed to an informer, are you paid generally at a higher rate than an informer?
Chair,
or not necessarily?
An agent would get his normal salary.
As a member of
As a normal
the police?
depends on what his rank is, he will get the same amount. Informers' remuneration can fluctuate. All depends on the successes and the intelligence they gather.
So you say an agent would get his normal salary that he was getting as a police officer before being appointed as an agent.
That is correct, Chair.
And then upon being appointed as agent, is there some additional amount that is added to his salary or not?
Not that I'm aware of, Chair.
Oh, so he would normally be paid the same amount that he would have been paid if he had remained at the rank at which he was simply as a member of the police.
That is correct, Chair, but just there is more detail to this, but it's going to delve into operational
Yes.
matters, so I'll leave it
Okay.
there.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Now, you deal in your statement which individuals associated with the General Mdluli's family were appointed as agents. It's difficult for you to testify to this without disclosing the family relationship. But could you broadly say how many appointments were made to who were members of General Mdluli's family and friends?
I will do it in a moment, Chair. If I could just finish up on my previous, I'm referring to 64, the Mdluli family.
Yes.
Regarding the conversation at General Lazarus' office.
Yes.
Regarding the piece of paper that was handed to General Lazarus from General Mdluli. General Lazarus then instructed me to fetch documents. These are application for employment in SAPS. It's a booklet, Chair, that one needs to fill out for employment, which I did. I collected a stack of them. I brought it back, and I handed it over to General Mdluli.
So what document did you hand over to General Mdluli?
It's got a specific number, Chair. At this stage, I cannot recall it, but it's basically an application for employment in the SAPS.
Oh, okay. And why did you give that to
Z8
him?
form, I'm not sure.
Why did you give that to him?
General Lazarus instructed me to get a few of those from Colonel Furstenberg's office.
Or were they forms that would be filled by the persons that General Mdluli wanted to be appointed?
That's correct, Chair.
Okay. Yes, continue.
That stack of booklets I handed over to General Mdluli, and he subsequently left. After General Mdluli left, General Lazarus took a look at the piece of paper that was handed over to him from General Mdluli. Chair, I'm sorry, I just went ahead of myself a little bit.
Yes.
Referring to those people or individuals that were going to be appointed as agents, I testified that General Lazarus and Mdluli agreed that those individuals should be placed in the agent program. And General Lazarus asked General Mdluli who was going to be the handler. And General Mdluli looked in my direction and said, "This man can do it, I trust him."
Yes.
And were you ultimately appointed as their handler?
Indeed, 7. I was handling 7 agents.
Is a handler like their supervisor who should know what activities they are involved in and what really they do in terms of their responsibilities as agents?
In essence, that's what it is, Chair.
Yes. And if anybody wants to find out where they are and what they are busy with, they would come to you.
To the handler, that's
to the
correct.
handler, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Chair, after General Mdluli left, General Lazarus looked at the piece of paper that was handed to him, and he told me that Mdluli wanted to appoint his family members, referring to the list.
Yes.
His exact words were, "Delani wants to appoint," and I mentioned, obviously I cannot mention the names,
Yes.
FM 24 and FM 28.
Yes.
General Lazarus was referring to FM 24. He mentioned Delani wants to appoint his vrouw and the queen.
Yes.
That simply means at that stage, the vrouw referring to his then wife and the queen referring to the girlfriend.
Yes, okay.
Chair, it's a bit difficult here because, with the code names or code numbers, it's a bit difficult for me.
Sorry?
I say, Chair, with the code numbers, it's a bit difficult.
Well, are you looking at paragraph 67?
66.
66.
Yes, Chair.
Oh, okay. No, I understand what you're saying. Yes, continue.
Chair, as in 67 of my statement, I'm just going to read it out because it's basically,
Yeah.
there's no names, it's numbers.
Yeah.
The following individuals associated with General Mdluli family were subsequently appointed as agents within CI following the aforementioned discussion. FM 24, FM 29, FM 26, FM 28, FM 27, and then we go on to 68.68. Although I'm uncertain of the relationship between General Mdluli and the following two individuals, they formed part of the appointments following the discussion between General Lazarus and General Mdluli. Hence, I have included them as part of the General Mdluli family. These two would be FM 25
And
And-
FM 30.
and FM 30. That's correct, Chair.
Yes.
Then, Colonel Naidu, were similar appointments made in respect of General Lazarus's family and friends?
Maybe before we do that, you did confirm that those persons in General Mdluli's list that were his family members, as well as the two persons that you mentioned in paragraph 68, where you said you were not sure if they were.
Chair, I can confirm it quickly, referring to the list that I have in front of me,
Yeah.
if I have a moment.
Mm-hmm. What are you seeking to confirm, Colonel Naidu?
Chair, in terms of the list that I have in front of me, I'm just confirming that the codes that are in the statement
Yeah.
is actually the person that's on my list. I do confirm the codes according to my list, Chair, after perusing my statement.
Yes, okay, all right. You did confirm that you ultimately were the handler for all those persons mentioned in paragraph 67 and paragraph 68 by way of the codes.
That is correct, Chair.
Yes, and at the time that you went on to the witness protection program, were you still their handler?
That is correct, Chair.
Yes. So that would mean that you would have been their handler for about a year, from 20.
It will be more than a year, Chair. It was from 2010, the first few months of 2010 to October 2011. So it will be about a year and a half,
Oh,
Chair.
it would be about a year and a half.
That is correct, Chair.
Okay, all right. I think after this, Ms. Wenzel wanted you to then say whether there was somebody else within crime intelligence whose family and friends were also appointed to some of these posts.
Yes, Chair.
Was there?
First, let's deal with General Lazarus's family and friends, which is dealt with on page 16, paragraph 69.
Yes. Chair, I'm also going to read this out because it's basically code names, or
Yes.
code numbers.
Yeah.
And I read the family, and this is page 16. The Lazarus family and friends, point 69. General Lazarus also secured the undue appointment and promotion of his own family, friends, or associates as follows. FM01 was appointed as a warrant officer without any prior appointment in the SAPS or crime intelligence. FM02 was appointed as a warrant officer without any prior appointment in the SAPS or CI, and a few months later, this same person was promoted to captain. FM03 was appointed as captain without any prior appointment in the SAPS or CI. FM04 was appointed as a lieutenant colonel without any prior appointment in the SAPS or CI. FM 05 was appointed as a clerk. FM 06 was appointed as a captain, coming from the SAPS in Pietermaritzburg at a lower rank and as a clerk. FM 31 was appointed as a constable without any prior police experience. FM 32 see it's redacted, owner of redacted, and an entity dealt with me below, was appointed as a captain without any prior appointment in SAPS OCI. FM 33 was appointed as a colonel under General Lazarus. Her husband was appointed as a colonel and the name is redacted, without any prior appointment in SAPS OCI. FM 34 was stationed at SAPS Tongat in a uniform branch to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. General Lazarus was previously stationed at this station where he and FM 34 were friends. FM 34's 3 daughters were also employed through General Lazarus due to his relationship or friendship with Warrant Officer FM 34. Chair, I cannot recall their names.
Yes.
Or on what level they were placed or promoted.
Yes, okay.
And I'm now reading from point 70, Chair. Those of us who were within General Lazarus's inner circle received promotions, often skipping a rank. Those of us who benefited were as follows. I was promoted from warrant officer to lieutenant colonel. FM 07, a close confidant of General Lazarus, was appointed from the rank of captain to colonel. I am convinced that his promotion needed to be concealed, as shortly thereafter he was placed into the agent program. FM 08, a close confidant of General Lazarus and the son of redacted from CI, was promoted from...
Sorry. Ms. Wenzel, will you make sure that that gap is filled to say the son of who? Because I assume it's somebody who should be given an FM code.
This person doesn't have an FM code, but because they weren't an agent, but it would identify who this person was the son of. And I understand that's why it was redacted. But,
just repeat that.
if I understand it, the son of this person wasn't given an FM number because I don't think that person was an agent. And just whose son it was redacted so that you couldn't then deduce who the person was. But I'll make sure that an FM number is given to that person as well.
Yeah, it may be necessary to say something so that it's not just a blank, you know.
Yes.
If it's X or Y.
Yes, I appreciate that. It would be much better.
With maybe in brackets something indicating why it can't be disclosed.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. But obviously Colonel Naidu knows who the son was the son of.
Chair, I know who this person is. I believe he's now deceased. He's late.
Yes. Okay. But disclosing that person might disclose FM 08.
It would probably might do that,
Yes,
Chair.
okay, all right. Yes. Continue.
I'm reading from 70.4. FM 12, who is related to General Lazarus's wife, was appointed to colonel from the rank of captain. I am convinced FM 12, Chair, I think this is incorrect.
It must have been his promotion.
Is incorrect.
Not promotions. It must have been meant to be his promotion.
Chair, 70.4 should actually read FM 09.
Or should be FM 09.
That is correct,
Not
Chair.
12.
No.
Okay, so that should be in a supplementary affidavit, Ms. Wenzel.
Yes.
Because this would have been sent to the implicated person as is.
Yes.
Yeah, and the supplementary affidavit would say that the reference to FM 12 in paragraph 70.4 is incorrect. It should be FM, whatever the code is
Yes.
supposed to be.
Yes, I was
Yes.
sent that.
Continue.
I'll just read 70.4 again, Chair. FMO9, who is related to General Lazarus' wife, was appointed to Colonel on the rank of Captain. I am convinced that his promotions also needed to be concealed, as shortly thereafter he was placed in the agent program. FM10, a confidant and possible business partner to General Lazarus, was promoted from Lieutenant Colonel to a full Colonel. And then I go on to the Morimoto family. This is point 71, Chair. The Morimoto family and friends also benefited from the association with General Lazarus. This was still under the umbrella of the 250 post. General Lazarus appointed the following persons from Mr. Morimoto's family. These were Mr. Morimoto himself, Chair, was not appointed in this process. He was registered as a contact person, and he received a salary in the amount of 50,000 rand per month.
What's the difference, if any, between a contact person and an informer?
Chair, an informer is remunerated by CI, is registered on the system. A contact person normally deals with ad hoc information. Is not a registered person within CI.
And would he be paid on an ad hoc basis, as and when there's something he has helped the police with, or he would also receive a standard payment salary?
Chair, from what I understand, the contact person doesn't get remunerated, although they can. It all depends on the level of assistance, if you want to put it that way.
Okay, all right.
Whereas an informer gets a monthly stipend, and obviously based on successes, gets remunerated on that level as well.
Yes, continue.
Like I mentioned, Mr. Morimoto was not promoted in this process, but he was registered as a contact person, and he received the amount of 50,000 rand per month. This piece of information was told to me by his handlers, Chair, which is FMO8.
Yes,
Claims from the SSA would prove this.
yes.
FM13 was appointed as a colonel without any prior appointment in the SAPS or CI. Chair, this is still within the Morimoto family.
Yes,
71.2, FM35 was appointed as a lieutenant colonel without any prior appointment in the SAPS or CI. FM15 was appointed as a captain or lieutenant colonel without any prior appointment in the SAPS or CI. FM36 was appointed as a colonel after leaving the SAPS at a lower rank some years prior to this appointment. FM17 was appointed as a captain without any prior appointment in the SAPS or CI. FM18 was appointed as a clerk, and FM19 was appointed as a clerk.
and so these were all either family members of Mr. Morimoto or friends of the Morimoto family.
That is correct, Chair.
Yes. And altogether it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Was it 8 people excluding Mr. Morimoto, or 9 with him?
That is correct, Chair. 8 without him.
Yes. Okay. Yes, and then
Chair, I also referred to another incident that I remember. This is in direct relation to how these individuals were appointed. Like I mentioned earlier, General Lazarus traveled with me from his home to his office and back. This was almost every day. On one occasion, If I can remember, it was coming back from work in the afternoon, having a conversation with him. And he said that Timmy did a lot for him, and he's going to return the favor.
Was this now after or before or after the appointment of Mr. Morimoto's family members and friends to some of these positions?
Chair, I assume this was before this statement was made. Timmy did a lot for me, and I'm going to return the favor. I assume they were subsequently appointed after him saying this, because in what he said, he's going to do it, so it still needed to be done, from what I understand this to be.
Yes. Yes, continue, Ms. Wenzel.
Chair, it is 3:30, unless you would like to continue.
Maybe we could reach, this could go quite quickly. Maybe if we could finish the appointments, these appointments, and they go up to the top of paragraph 24. I think he'll be fast with those.
Yes.
Yes, Colonel Naidu, we're at page 19. So you have told us up to now that General Mdluli came to General Lazarus with a paper which reflected names of his family members that he wanted to be appointed to some of the 250 posts, and that was done, and that then General Lazarus also had his own family members and friends appointed as well to some of these posts, and that the family members, or certain family members of the Morimoto family were also appointed, and their friends to some of these posts. Is that right?
That is correct, Chair.
Yes, and then I see that at page 19 you have something to say about Colonel Bernard.
That is correct. That is correct, Chair. If I can just continue reading from a statement. Page 19.73, Colonel Barnard was a colonel, who is a colonel in the procurement unit of CI, and had dealings with SSA account, referring to the Secret Service account. His son or family members of his were appointed. Chair, I don't see the FM numbers. 73.1.
Are there names there which should not be there and should be represented by FM codes?
Chair, at this stage we don't have them, because on the statements it's redacted, and on the FM list I don't have their names.
Okay, maybe let's stop here. Ms. Wenzel, would you please just go through
Yes.
the whole of these
Yes.
documents with Colonel Naidu, identify
Yes.
things that should be corrected, and
Yes.
and then have a supplementary affidavit that
Yes.
would correct things, so that tomorrow we can just
Yes.
move with some speed without any problem.
Yes, we'll attend to this overnight.
Yes.
Chair.
Okay, Colonel Naidu, we are going to stop at this stage. It's about 29 minutes to 4. I'm thinking whether I should say we should start at 9:30 tomorrow or not, but I might wish to not disturb my plans in terms of what time to start to take care of my health situation. From your side, Colonel Naidu, if I were to say we should start at 9:30, that would not create any problems.
That would be fine, Chair.
That would be fine with you. Okay, let us say we'll start at 9:30 tomorrow,
Yes, Chair.
but there is room that in the morning, depending on how I feel, I might send a message that will start at 10. So if you come at 9:30 and find that there is a message that will start at 10, please bear with me. But if at all possible, we'll try 9:30.
Yes, that's perfectly suitable.
Thank you. We'll stop at that then for today. We adjourn.
All rise.